Hi everybody, Mike from RMT Family here. Today we're looking at the experiences we had with our Model 3. We have a 2018 Tesla Model 3 long range dual motor. Dual motor stands for all-wheel drive. I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, and the annoying experiences we had with it and with Tesla. That said, it's another beautiful day here in Montana. And it's definitely great to have a dual motor Tesla. As you can see, the roads are snow covered and they're quite slick. So why don't I take you on a drive and I'll tell you about all my experiences. Let's go. So I just got in the car, and the nice thing is with the Tesla you can leave your climate control on even without the car actually running. As there's no engine, there's obviously no real running, but as you leave the car, you can go into the climate control and tell it to leave it on so that when you come back, the car is still nice and warm. So that's super nice. With an ICE car, this is not possible unless you leave the engine running. Leaving the engine running obviously uses gas, pollutes the environment, can be dangerous, because you gotta leave your key in it too. So unless you have a second key to lock the car, you gotta leave it unlocked as well. So with this here, you just leave the climate control on, you walk away and the car locks itself, and you come back and the car unlocks and it's nice and toasty. So definitely a big plus. So, but now let's go on a drive. We reserved our Model 3 about a half an hour before the reveal back in 2016. Haven't even seen the car, but we knew we wanted that car. And we put our $1,000 down, and then we waited for about 2 years. At the end of 2017 or early 2018, we finally got the email that we could configure the car, but there was no all-wheel drive option at the time, and so we had to wait again. And then in June of 2018, finally there was the next email that said now you can configure your car as an all-wheel drive. So we were able to configure the car, expecting this to be the $35,000 car. Obviously, the all-wheel drive, I expected to pay another $5,000, putting all the options into the car to make it the way we wanted it with all power and everything. Another $5,000, which would have brought it up to $45,000 already at that point. We knew it had full self-driving hardware. We didn't know how much it would cost to get full self-driving. And the other thing that was totally unexpected and quite annoying is that we were forced at that point basically to buy a $9,000 upgrade on the battery. We didn't really need the extra range. We didn't need the 310 miles. 200 would have been just fine for what we needed the car for. So that was kind of annoying. But that said, we had to drive our pickup truck at the time, and we put $400 worth of diesel in every month. And waiting another year until the $35,000 would have been available, that wouldn't have made sense because of the amount of fuel we would have to put in the truck just to drive it. So we bit the bullet, got the long range, and so now we were already at $54,000 for the car. Still didn't have anything with the full self-driving. Back when, in 2018, there was EAP, Enhanced Autopilot, and then there was Autopilot, which the Autopilot was full self-driving, and Enhanced Autopilot was less than the full Autopilot. So the description was that enhanced autopilot would do everything that the autopilot will do, except you will never be able to take your hands off the wheel. And at that time, that sounded really good to us because if I got all the functions, I just gotta keep nudging the steering wheel or something, or holding the wheel a little bit, that's fine. It would still be full self-driving. So we bought the enhanced autopilot for another $5,000. So now we were at 59, and then there was $1,000 destination and paperwork, so we were $60,000. Luckily, Montana does not have any sales tax, so we didn't have to pay any sales tax. Back to the autopilot thing. The description changed over the last couple of years. Autopilot became full self-driving, and the basic autopilot is included in every Tesla. So enhanced autopilot fell by the roadside. It was gone. And at some point it was announced that enhanced autopilot will stay where it's at. It will not get any new features. You would have to buy full self-driving to get the new features, which that was really annoying because that's not really how it was advertised when we configured the car. So at that point, well, we just had enhanced autopilot. Luckily, Tesla actually put the full self-driving on sale. So at some point there was a $2,000 upgrade for full self-driving, and I was very hesitant. I wasn't sure if I should do it or not, and I didn't. And then it went up to $3,000. Eventually I decided I should do it because there's a hardware upgrade as well, the new full self-driving computer, and that I really wanted all the features. I don't want to be stuck with just EAP features. So we bit the bullet and paid an additional $3,000 in 2019 to get upgraded to full self-driving. So that was quite annoying, to having to throw out another $3,000. But that said, if we would have bought full self-driving right off the bat, it would have been $5,000 on top of it. So we basically saved $2,000. So, but anyway, this for and back was kind of annoying there. But we upgraded to full self-driving. The hardware got upgraded, no problems, no issues there. It was a really smooth transition. The guy came in, replaced the main computer. He saved all the settings before he pulled the old one out and put everything back onto the new full self-driving computer. So this went all totally smooth. We didn't have to readjust all the settings for the two drivers that we had on there. Our car was built in August of 2018. We picked it up September 1st. It's in the 64,000s with the VIN. So it's a relatively early dual motor model. Picking it up in Seattle, so 500 miles from home. Went really smooth. Checked out the car. We found a couple things that looked like, one looked like a scratch on the door, one looked like a scratch on the center console. Turns out there was some adhesive left over from the wrap that they put on for transportation. They cleaned that up immediately, and we drove out of there. Drove around Seattle for a couple days, doing some sightseeing. Made sure that supercharging works because we had to add a credit card to the account, and we wanted to make sure it was really all set up properly so that we can supercharge and then drive home. Going home, we just used Tesla navigation, put our home in as a destination, and off we went, and we just followed the instructions, charging at the superchargers that the car would say we have to stop at. That said, we actually stopped more than just to supercharge. And the funny thing is, we even stopped at one place, and we didn't know at the time, but there was a supercharger there too. But we had to stop to go to the bathroom, and didn't even know we could have charged there. And change plans a little bit and maybe skip the next supercharger. But that said, we never had any range anxiety. We were fully aware that on I-90 you can drive from the West Coast to the East Coast with any Tesla, so we didn't have any issues. Was not worried about anything in regards to range, and it went totally smooth. And that was like the third day we had the car, and there's really nothing to worry about with the Model 3. Our Model 3 is rated at 310 miles EPA range. EPA drives very slow during their testing, between 45 and 55 miles an hour, so real life mileages are quite a bit lower for us, especially here in Montana with a speed limit of 80 miles per hour. We get a bit less, anywhere from 50 to 100 miles less. Depends a little bit on elevation change as well. But still, since we had it, we never had any issues with charging or going anywhere. We never had to plan really anything. We did a trip from here to Salt Lake City, 500 miles back in 2019. Put the destination in on the navigation on the Tesla, and it would just tell us where to stop. And a lot of people say, oh, it takes way too long to charge. But actually, when you're traveling like that, you will change a little bit compared to a gas car, because you're forced to stop at these certain points. But you want to stop every other hour anyway and walk around, go to the bathroom or grab a snack or grab lunch. And it really worked very well for us. Like on that trip to Salt Lake, one stop was right next to a great restaurant, so we stopped there, we ate, the car was charged before we were done eating. We drove another couple hundred miles or so, and there we needed to charge, and we were right along a river, so we went for a little walk there. And it makes for nice traveling. It's different traveling than in a gas car. Usually in a gas car, you get there, you're kind of tired, worn out. With this, you get there, you're still refreshed because you took those breaks that you were supposed to, and they were nicely spread out. So it really works great, and no range anxiety whatsoever. Tesla navigation works great. Issues we had with the car were very minor. The first week we had a tail light that had moisture in it, which Tesla is kind of known for that. Usually that dries out in a day or two. But this one didn't. We called the roadside assistance number, and that's one of the other annoying things. Every time we call this roadside assistance number or their main number, you're on hold for 45 minutes. And that's kind of ridiculous. We haven't called here in the past few months, but whenever we called, it was just a 45-minute hold. So that's very ridiculous, very annoying. And luckily, you don't have to call very often. So we called roadside assistance for that tail light, since there is no service center anywhere near us, 500 miles away. The lady there, she made sure that she knows exactly which tail light we're talking about, if it's on the fixed body panel or on the trunk lid, which side it is. And then she put a request in for mobile service and said we should get contacted by mobile service here within the next couple days or so. Well, that was another annoying experience, because there was nothing in about 5 days. And so we called roadside assistance again, 45 minutes on hold again. The gal we got on the phone put another request in. Still, that didn't really work out. Sent an email. And it took about 3 weeks before we finally got a call from mobile service. And the technician said, yeah, have your tail light. I can be out there in 3 days. And I was like, wow, it took 3 weeks before we got that response. So that was very annoying. But luckily, it was not anything major. It was just a tail light with some moisture in it. When the mobile service guy showed up, it went all really smooth. He was super friendly. Replaced the tail light really quick, and he asked if we have any questions, and he took the time to answer all the questions we had. So once he was there, it was a great experience. To get him there really sucked. So that said, we live in Montana, and at that time, the closest service center was 500 miles away. It was either Seattle, Salt Lake City, or then it was up in Canada. So for us, it's not as easy as stopping by real quick and asking a question at the service center. We totally rely on mobile service. So that was our first experience with mobile service. The next experience was that we could not unplug the car at home. One morning in October, we came out, we could not unplug the car. The latch that locks the plug into the charge port was frozen solid. The way it was designed is kind of bad design. It pretty much funnels water right into the plug, down into the latch. There's a seal that's supposed to hold the water out, but water always gets in. There's no doubt about it. And there was no way for the water out, so that latch filled up. And the first 20-degree morning, that thing was frozen solid. It would not unlock. The manual release obviously could not be pulled either because the latch was mechanically frozen in there. Again, we called roadside assistance, 45 minutes on hold. We needed to go to work, very annoying again. Eventually got to talk to somebody. The person said, yeah, try the manual release. We told them, hey, we tried already. Yeah, pull harder. So we pulled harder. The little rubber handly thing came right off the wire as we pulled harder. It still didn't unlock. We already had the car going at the time, so it was heating inside. I also brought a heat gun out. I've been heating that up already from the inside and outside, but still it would not release. And we've been on this for about an hour at that point, and still no release. The roadside assistance guy didn't know what else to do because he said, well, I can't tow the car away since it's attached to the umbilical cord, basically. He was eventually trying to get a hold of somebody in the service center in Seattle. Well, there's a time difference of an hour, but luckily the service manager was there about a half an hour early. She was trying to help, and she said, well, yeah, usually we would tow it away, but we can't do that. And she said, well, we may have to give you a rental car so you can keep going to work until this is resolved. So we were probably about 2 hours total into this, and I said, let me try one more time here and see, before we go down the road for a rental car, let me see if we can get this unlocked. And I tried, and it did. So finally, after 2 hours of basically warming up the car and using a heat gun on the outside and the inside, it finally worked. So that was one of the very first Model 3s that had that issue. Over the next few weeks, that issue showed up many more times in northern climates. Other people had the same issue. And then later, Tesla developed software that would help with that issue. When the software update came out, for some reason our car did not get it. And I already knew people in the southern climates that had this update, and up here we still didn't have it. We still had to deal with folding the seats down, preheating the car an hour earlier, just to make sure we can actually unlock and get going in time. And we had to call Tesla many times, and again, most of the time 45 minutes on hold before you talk to somebody was extremely annoying at that time. That was very bad. I mean, the car was basically great, but Tesla's service sucked. So we called multiple times, and eventually, about 2 months after the software update came out, we got it. Nobody really knows why, but for some reason that software update just sat on the shelf and never was pushed to the car. People were, for the most part, very friendly, except for on one phone call. We had a person on the phone. This guy was very annoying. He was giving me all kinds of excuses and saying, oh, I don't have a magic button to just push an update to you. And I do understand that there may be not a magic button, but if I can't leave home in an emergency situation because I can't unplug the car, that could be a life and death situation for us living here in rural Montana. That guy was very annoying too. The car itself, other than that, was great. Tesla Mobile Service came out to replace the charge port. As he pulled it out of the package, he noticed it was actually broken. Together with him, we replaced the latch only off the charge port, and as we took the old one off, it was full of water still. And so we put a new one on that was dry. With the software update, then we actually went through the winter okay. We didn't have any further issues. Other than that, driving the car in the wintertime, great. I mean, extremely cool. It's amazing how fast you can still accelerate on icy, snowy surfaces. It stays totally straight, goes totally straight. I mean, really amazing. Better than any car I've ever driven in the snow. These dual motor Teslas, I mean, the greatest things live in snow country. This is what you want to have. After all this, we basically had some software issues here and there. We had some radar issue with driving by the airport, where the airport radar would do something to the car. The autopilot, or the full self-driving part of it, the auto lane change mainly, was disabled after that. That was kind of funny. Eventually that was figured out and fixed via software updates. We got a few cameras replaced. Seemed like we had some camera issues, all for free. Warranty. Mobile service came out, never had to go anywhere. Mobile service got better in a sense that we started knowing the technicians and we had their email addresses and could communicate with them directly via email rather than calling the main number. And then eventually, about a year ago, they actually opened the service center a little bit closer, about 250 miles away. Still too far away for us to go there, but the service technicians were now available from there, and not just one, so that made it a little bit easier. But still, it takes about 3 weeks for them before they come out here. Not that we had any emergencies of any kind, we had always just minor things. So they replaced one of the door handles. There was chrome peeling off on the bottom. We replaced the rear camera because it was kind of foggy looking. There was all just a few minor things, really nothing major. We didn't have any panel gap issues like a lot of people do. Really, things were pretty smooth. And the car itself always performed great. I mean, we never got stuck except for the one time when the charge port was frozen. But other than that, we never got stuck. We lost an aero cap once, and I'm going to put a link at the top of the screen here so you can watch that video to see what to do in the winter time so you don't lose your aero caps. But really, we have now 40,000 miles on it, over 40,000. It's a little over 2 years. We're going into the third winter with this car, and it's still great. It works great, it performs great. It's the car we like to drive. We drove this car more than any other car that we had. Before we were kind of rotating cars. Now we just drove this car because it was really cool. We bought a car with a basic alarm that now has Sentry mode with 4 cameras. I mean, all the upgrades we got for free after the fact that you would pay for as an option with other manufacturers, and you couldn't upgrade later usually with the other manufacturers. Here we got them for free and we got upgraded, you know, and so it's really cool. And it's going towards the end of 2020 here, and probably in December there will be another large update which will bring other upgrades and things to the car. So we're really super impressed with that, and we're super impressed how they are able to fix things via software updates. The efficiency got increased, acceleration got increased without purchasing the acceleration boost. We got some acceleration increase, so that when you're at a higher speed, like on the interstate, and you're going 65 and you want to pass a car, they increase the acceleration at that point. Not the 0 to 60, but if we wanted the 0 to 60, we could purchase that as an upgrade. It's just a matter of pressing one icon on the cell phone and it would upgrade, charge it to your credit card for $2,000, and it would bring it from above 4 seconds to under 4 seconds, from 0 to 60. And as an automotive technician, I can tell you, in a regular car, in a gas car, this will cost you $5,000-$6,000 easy, and you wouldn't have the car for a couple weeks or so until this is all done. And then there may be other issues coming up as you're trying to install all this stuff and so on and so forth. With Tesla, hell, if you want it, it's $2,000, and you have it from one day to the next via software update. So really cool. The best car we ever had. Really, with the car itself, we're super happy. Roadside assistance was pretty annoying in the beginning. Now that we have a connection here to the service center about 250 miles away, that is much better. I don't think that you need a service center. What definitely needed improvement at the time was getting a technician out. Understanding that as far as we live away, it will take a day or two for him to get here. But that said, you can't get in at the service center within a day or two either. Usually you gotta wait a week or two. So overall, super impressed with the car. No problems with the car. Love the car. Would buy another one. We would buy a used one. So that said, we would buy another 2018 all-wheel drive. There's no reason why not to, or we would purchase a brand new one. But there's no reason to do either, because we got this car and this car is just fine. Only has 40,000 miles on it. The battery probably will last 250 to 350,000 miles. So we're ways away from that. The rear motor is supposedly designed for 1 million miles. This is the same motor that goes into the Semi. Just the Semi is going to get 4 of those. So we're not afraid of driving this car. We're not afraid of the high mileage. We still got warranty until 50,000 miles on the entire car. And then we still have warranty on the battery and drivetrain. So not afraid at all that there will be any issues with this car. So that's it. Overall, the car itself, the greatest thing. Tesla, the company, sometimes lacking a little bit on the customer service side in regards to getting a hold of them. Getting the mobile technician out fast enough can be an issue. But Tesla, yes, would buy another one. All for it. And so yeah, that was our review of this 2018 Tesla Model 3 dual motor that we have. And we really enjoy it. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you liked it, got some good information out of it, please give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below in the comment section, and we'll see that we can get those answered. But like I said, go ahead and buy a Tesla. There's no fear at all. These cars are great cars. Tesla will take good care of you and will get things fixed. It's just the car, the best car we ever had. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.